everybody, and welcome to Where's My Sage. I'm Mike from Tactical Bigfoot Research, and my wonderful co-host, Kristie London, medium
Hello.
and Reiki master. How are you tonight, Kristie, and how are things going?
Oh, same old. How about yourself?
Long day at work, and it'll be another long day tomorrow. So we're getting enjoyed. Yeah, fun. So, all right, folks are starting to tune in and come on in from all different locations. We got folks coming in from YouTube and Facebook and Paranormal Warehouse. Nobody from Twitch yet tonight, so hello. If you are tuning in from Facebook, they keep changing the requirements on safety and stuff. Hello, Carmela, and hello, Denise. So please go through and like change your settings so we can see who you are. If not, it just comes up Facebook user. So there we go. Hey, and we're gonna chat a little bit. Mel's coming in here in a minute here, and we'll bring her on in a second. For those of you who joined us this weekend, thank you so much. We had a great little show with everybody that tuned in. It's really nice to get some folks on. And
hi, Father.
It's good to see when families start popping in. So, Kristie, hi. Another one from yeah, there we go. Am I Derek? I'm trying to start what do you call it from my side today? I think I've breathed too much bleach today. And yeah.
Thank you, Carmela. Thank you.
So yes, Kristie's birthday was yesterday, everybody. So we're wishing her a happy birthday. And Kristie, if you would like to introduce our guests, and
I would love to.
And I'm going to bring Mel in here.
Okay.
And hello, Mel. I think give you one. She's trying to run. Hey, okay.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
Good. You going crazy yet?
The first 3 days I was, but you get past the wall. So
yeah,
I'm not going crazy. I've arrived.
Even better. And you didn't take that long to get there. So it was a lot less painful, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've leveled out. My craziness is constant now.
Excellent. We love your crazy, though. It's great.
Oh,
Keeps us on our toes.
You and me both.
So this is the wonderful Melanie. No, am I going to say the last name right? Is it Rauscher?
Yes, you nailed it.
Yes. Thank you.
Nice job.
I can't trust with Mike for nothing when it comes to pronouncing things.
That's why she does it.
He totally got me. He got me in trouble. So much trouble with Jay Bochachin. Bochachin. See, I'm still saying it wrong because he was saying it wrong for so long before Jay corrected me. I was like, oh, damn it. So
I mean, that's a hard one, though.
Yeah. No. Oh, good. I'm glad I said it right. And Melanie is from Naked and Afraid. And she's here today to talk to us all about her experiences in the show. And she just makes us laugh. Melanie's just cool. We have a lot going on. That's kind of why I came up with the title that I did, because Don't Talk With Your Mouth Full, because I feel like even just in Rochester, every time, we were laughing nonstop. We were talking nonstop. It was just fun all the time. I felt like there was so much coming at us from all different angles. And you have your hand in so many pots and you do so many different things that, it's just, Mike goes, well, how'd you come up with that? And I was like, it just came to me. Just so. Yeah. Oh my God. So, all right. Go ahead, Michael.
Is your tablet still signed in to the show?
Mine?
I'm getting a little feedback from somebody.
No, it might be. I'm using my new AirPods instead of my lapel, so that might be why.
Okay, so that's not. It might be you, Mel. You got earphones in by any chance, or we're going right off your speaker? Okay.
No. Is it really bad?
It's not too bad. I just was trying to figure out. We have messed around. We got a couple different computers going, so I usually have two things going at once. If Kristie's doing a reading, I have my little notes going on one laptop, and then I have another laptop going. So,
she's got the whole system going. I don't know.
Yeah, you saw how I walked around with the tablet, and I tripped a step on myself, and it's one of those things. So, so how are you managing through this wonderful virus?
Not too bad. Like, I was actually sick a few weeks ago, and I went to the doctors thinking it was just strep throat, and they made me real nervous because I had like flu symptoms. And so they tested me for flu and COVID, and then they told me to quarantine myself for 3 to 5 days while they waited for the test results to come back. And they said that if I don't hear in 3 days, the test takes like 24 hours to get back, they said, but they gave it 3 days because there was such a backlog. And so I was quarantined. That's when I was like really losing it, because I literally didn't leave my bedroom for like 3 days. Actually, funny, because like it's happening right now, I had to go and vote. I looked like death. And that was probably the scariest point for me, just because if I had it, I was scared. And if I didn't, I was like, well, I'm really weak right now, my immune system. But that was the only time I was really like panicking about it. I actually just lost a friend. He was 37, and he died of pneumonia and coronavirus. So, I'm
really sorry.
Thanks. And it's just like, I mean, I was thinking, and he was a pretty healthy dude. I was thinking that pretty much the same way that everybody else thinks, is the younger people are much better equipped to handle it, but that's not true for everyone. So it's frustrating because, not everyone takes it serious, and they're out there, on beaches and partying. But overall, I'm trying not to panic. My theory is you can only handle so much. So I shouldn't get, lose my mind about things I can't control. So I guess just doing whatever I can is not interacting with the outside world, which for me is pretty easy.
Just the whole isolation thing, right?
There's like four people up here all the time.
I feel ya.
Yeah.
I think I threw Mike off when I came back in, and I was reversed on the screen.
Well, no, they didn't throw me. No, it's throwing our viewers off.
Is it? I always have to be on the left. Is that what it is? Wow, people. Well, at least, Melanie, with the isolation, you get to keep your clothes on for that. Not like when they take you off somewhere.
I mean, I have to put my clothes on for things like this, and then when I have to go like get something from the store or something. So being I'll save a story for later, but there's a funny story about being naked that happened to me 2 or 3 days ago.
I can't wait.
It's a good one.
All right.
It actually happened
here. Naked store. Okay.
It's a good one.
I can't wait. It's already getting hot in here. In all seriousness, very sorry to hear about your friend, but very glad that you are better and that you are doing well now and things are on the up and up for you. And you know what? We have to laugh not at other people's expense, but we have to keep each other going.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's how we break crazy, the monotony. And if we don't, we have to find different ways to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Just kind of just go with it.
I'm a firm believer of laughing through the pain. That's one of the things I do is laugh when you're uncomfortable and laugh when things are miserable. I think it's a very effective coping mechanism. I cry a lot too, so there's a balance.
I know. Good. You have to. My gynecologist, my obstetrician told me the same thing when I was giving birth, and I punched her in the face. I was like, I'll laugh at that. I'm kidding.
Punched her in the face. Okay.
Sorry, I love her. She knows I love her. I swear to God, though, I didn't do as much Levage breathing and breathing in general as I did. Lavage, I forget that. But I did it. I do it to talk to dead people. I have to get into my zone. Hold on, let me breathe. Whereas, okay, you're in labor, breathe. Screw you.
You breathe.
Anyway.
Is Claire a problem or is it all right?
It's not too bad.
Okay.
We're all about being comfortable,
Good.
And and we know it's a little earlier out there. We got a moon coming in tonight, so that should prove to be some interesting, changes of the world. So, I'm taking one of Tara's classes right now, and some of this stuff's coming in for really interesting. So, Mel, you are a U.S. Navy veteran. Is that correct?
I am. I was actually on the Theodore Roosevelt, the one that's in the news today and the past week.
Really?
Yeah.
So you didn't visit ahead of time and bring that, and then
what?
You didn't bring it to them like as a guest experience.
No.
Okay.
I haven't been on that boat in 12 years. So whatever I brought to that boat is long gone.
Okay.
I don't know. You have a lasting effect on people. So.
Well, I hope that,
girl. Okay. Oh my God. Oh.
But yeah,
I think that's awesome. Though. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying yes. I was with the Navy.
Okay. So you got to see a pretty good tour of the world before you decided to do the whole Naked and Afraid thing. So,
yeah.
Where was your favorite ports before? Ladies first.
Mike and I have a really bad habit of doing this.
I was in 4 active, and I got to the boat in 2005. When I was 17, I joined, got to the boat, and then left on our first deployment in September. And we went to 5 countries then. We did a lot of like Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, out that way. But of all, because I did a deployment and a half, my enlistment was up halfway through the second one. But my favorite 2 ports, I would say, was South Africa and Turkey.
Where did you go in Turkey?
Marmaris, and there's just like a lot of history in Turkey. So there was like a lot from like Alexander the Great, and there's this. I'm not like a super religious person, but there is this one place there where they say that Mary stopped when she was, traveling when she was pregnant with Jesus. So that was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, and it just had like this crazy, I don't know, just like vibe when I was there. But just like seeing things that were like that historically significant was pretty cool in Turkey.
That's awesome. Yeah, my husband was in Incirlik a few times, and just the way they do things and where that particular base was, really amazing. The people are so different and very accommodating, especially to our soldiers, which was great. And the rugs he brought back, and he brought our daughter back this beautiful China set. Real China tea set, she was little at the time, and it's still packed in a box for someday, and it's just awesome. He's for my son. Yeah, just really cool in the stories just of the culture and everything.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very good. And sorry, so what was your question, Mike? Getting back to Mike's question.
Where her favorite ports were, and I think that's you guys kind of hit on that. And then South Africa would be your next. You're saying, and
the first time I was in South Africa before doing the show actually was when I was there with the Navy. It's just like the people there are so nice, and as different as our cultures are, they're so similar. Like just their way of life, day to day, is so similar to our culture in America, the way that we go about day to day. It's not, insanely different. Just it's like the other side of the world, but they live the same way. Whereas when I was in like Turkey, Turkey was really different. Greece was pretty different. We were in was it Corfu? I think we were in Corfu, Greece, and it was just they weren't happy actually. When we pulled into port, they were protesting. So they weren't too excited about it.
Wow.
So,
how come?
It was early in the war, and I guess like it has a lot to do with politics. But they definitely were not thrilled about us being there. They were thrilled about our money, but not about us being there.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because there can be so many different reasons why, and depending on the time of everything.
Yeah, they actually, when we pulled into port, I just remember seeing this big spray painted sign on a wall that said "Go Home, Americans." Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like that. I was like, I didn't even know the Greeks didn't really like us. What's going on?
Right. Yikes.
But the politics are usually what plays into it.
Oh yeah, and it can be at the drop of a hat. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not good. No. Yeah, that happened to my husband once. He got stuck in Germany last second. I had a newborn. I was like, you better tell this freaking government. You've been gone too long. I started a new job. I had a newborn and 2 other kids. I said, this doesn't work for me. No. You mean you're stuck here until they work this out? What the hell does that mean, But
how much like home?
Hello. So Mike looks like he has a question. He wants to say something.
No, you said you went through and you went to some of the holy centers and stuff like that. We know, and we're going to get to some more of your paranormal experiences, but what did you kind of feel there? I mean, was it a good energy? Was it a kind of a creepy energy? Was it just overwhelming?
Where did you say? Sorry, I missed the first part of that.
When you were in Turkey at the holy sites there?
It was this tiny, like one room building, and it was like literally made out of stones. And I have pictures. If I can find the pictures from my first deployment, I have them on an external hard drive. They're on there. But it was just like I remember there was this big tree, and it was literally in like a really small village, but it was just so quiet. And I don't know. It was definitely a positive energy, and it was just like a humbling feeling. And like I said, like I'm not a very religious person, but it's just humbling. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they did this thing where I think it was whenever somebody had a prayer, they would tie on like a handkerchief or a tissue or something on the fence that surrounded it, and like the whole thing was covered in like handkerchiefs and stuff. Like, you know how sometimes people put locks on fences? Instead of doing that, they tied like a handkerchief or something to represent a prayer, and they left it there. It was just a really cool, comforting place.
Cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Very neat.
Now let's fast forward. Now, how did you end up on this exciting show with some of our crazy friends? Yeah.
You went from you have to be, dressed in uniform to let me just take it all off and put myself on TV. How did that all come about?
Yeah, let's lose all the discipline, all the military bearing in the best way possible.
Seriously, you can't even go outside without your head on.
No, I used to I live up northern Arizona right now, but when I first moved out here, I would do a lot of like desert backpacking and hiking. And one day, like it's when you're in the desert in the Sonoran, I mean, you turn around, it all looks the same. Once you're on a trail and you're like, there's no mountains to really orient you, it all looks the same. Like there's saguaro, and unless one has like very distinct features, you can't tell the directions. And so I went on, and somehow there's this one. I'm sure you guys know, like you're in the woods and
stumbled onto a new trail or new trail.
A new trail.
New. Okay.
New.
EW.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there was this new trail that I hadn't gone on yet, and it was about 8 miles out and back. And somehow I got off the trail because you know how like you're on a trail and then it looks like it goes one way because it's like it looks like it's worn down, and it looks like that's the direction it goes. And that's what happened. And I just kept going. And then I was just walking for way too long. And I was like, there's no way I should have hit the intersection where I looped back, and it never came up. And so I'm like looking at my map, you know, an old school topographical map, like not GPS and stuff like that. And I realized like I definitely was off track. So I literally just turned around and started running. And it was in the middle of, I think it was June. So it was so hot out, and I was getting like, I was almost out of water. And I ended up, because I looked at the map and there was mountains to the like northwest of where I was, and I could see those mountains, but I'd never been this far. So I never saw them before because the hills of the desert. And so when I got back, I was like, shit, like I could have died. I had no idea where I was. At the time I didn't know, how to make a fire out in the desert. I didn't know how to source water out in the desert. I didn't know how to like navigate with, like I could do minor navigation with, celestial stars and stuff like that. But I didn't know how to do it like during the time of the year. It was just a whole bunch of stuff that could have helped me in that situation that I had no idea how to do at the time. And so I finally made it back. And by the time I made it back, it was like dusk, luckily. And that's when I was like, if I didn't run, if I wasn't in such good shape, then I would have been stuck. And then I started studying like survival stuff, mostly like desert survival. And Naked and Afraid used to be my favorite show. It's still one of my favorite shows, but at the time it was like my favorite show. And so I was like, I would love to do the show, and it would be an excellent test to see where I'm at, like in my survival skills. Mm-hmm. And they weren't casting at the time. So I just went, searching on the internet, and I found this one thing on Discovery's website. It was a new show that they were trying to audition for. And it was about family survival. And so I put an application in for this. Didn't tell anyone in my family. I was trying to let them know through the application that I was applying for Naked and Afraid, hoping they pick that up and be like, give it to the Naked and Afraid casting department. And so I filled it out. I'm like, and this is right when I moved back to Arizona. So like at the time I was still like living with my parents, and my mom comes home from work, and I was like, Mom, so I may have applied for a television show for the whole family. And she was like, what?
I mean, your parents are cool.
I know.
My daughter, Abby. So, okay, so I did this thing, and I'm like, whack.
Yeah. And I told them, I was like, trust me, it's just for me, Naked and Afraid. And they're like, what? And then my mom like called my dad in, and I was like, guys, I'm going to fix it. I just wanted them to like get in touch with me. So that's how I did it. I just really wanted to test my skills, and I didn't know how to like get in touch with casting or anything like that. They never made that show, God. I don't think, but I forget what it was called. But it was the only like show casting. I'm like,
so last year I got to spend time with your parents at the Avon Inn, and I know they're cool. I'm just your dad out there trucking along with you in the woods.
Yeah, right.
Hey, we got him to ghost hunt.
Oh my God. One step at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Baby steps. They asked me to do a sibling episode, and I tried to convince one of my sisters to do it, and there was no joy there. One of my sisters was going to do it, but no joy.
No,
they all think I'm crazy.
Oh my gosh, how funny. I give you a lot of credit, man, because there's just no way no one wants to see this. Just in my skills.
That's what people say. And like, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
That's a whole nother show.
How many people want to see everything?
Yeah, I'll give you that. Ooh, okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Moving along.
We got one question. We got a question from the audience. From Joseph. Just curious, what do you get from doing Naked and Afraid, and why do you do it?
I did it the first time to test my skills. What I got in return was so much more than I could ever anticipate. Like the experience in general, the show is very real. So it's like, it's a test of your skills, of course, but your mental fortitude and, I don't know, just like your ability to keep pushing on and make it past those hurdles. The swamp was very difficult for the physical aspect. Like Jeremy was just an excellent partner. So we worked really well together with like the challenges and stuff like that, as far as like getting food and that kind of stuff. But the mosquitoes, I'm telling you, it was torture. And there were so many nights when we were just like annihilated. Like there was millions. And if you've never been attacked by millions of mosquitoes at the same time, it is absolute torture. And just being like, I'm not quitting. But in Africa, it was, I mean, getting to live amongst actual African wildlife. Not many people get to say that they did that. At least not many people, in America, where we have all these privileges. It's not like I went to a zoo. I mean, like we were in the middle of African wildlife. They shot a poacher and a poacher's dog very close to where we were. And then that was a cool experience. That's when the whole time we were like, well, this is real. But then they shoot a poacher and you're like, wow, like Africa is really real. So it's just like the life experiences that I can add to my life story that I'm like I did that, you know what I mean? And I didn't do it like, I don't care if it was a TV show or not, I would do it again tomorrow. I don't do it to be on TV. I do it because the bonds you form with people and the bond you form with nature is just amazing.
Right. That's awesome.
And we don't get paid a lot, really... so I sure as shit ain't doing it for the money.
You have to go through all of that and you don't even really get paid. Well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And you bring back power to you because
you bring back some medical stuff with you too. So that's always fun.
Yeah, that's when, when we were talking to you and Trent and Chase about all that, it blew my mind. The stuff that happened to you guys, like, again, why would you put yourself through that? To know that you actually were, I mean, I know you guys said they had a great medical staff, everyone looks out for you, but it's kind of like, you still got to suffer through it if it happens, you're still going to pay the consequences long after the show is done. What do you think? Like what's...
And like I kind of relate it to, and I hope I make like sense in this connection, but in the military, you do volunteer for the military 9 times out of 10. You sign up for what you're doing, but you have no idea what you're actually signing up for. You know what I mean? Like you sign that contract, you make that agreement, but there's no way of knowing what you're getting yourself into in reality. So like I signed up to do the show and you can see it on TV, but that's a television show. The experience itself is a real experience. And there was just an episode on, I think it was last week, and this guy was honestly one of the most depressive people that's ever been on the show. And he tapped out, I think, on day 11 because it's too hard. Some situations are just too hard mentally. And it's like you could have all of the expectations, all the knowledge you want, but you can't really be prepared.
I can imagine. That's not even I can't fathom just hearing the stories, and just and I know a lot of people are wondering, so let's go down this road first. What made you do it a second time then? After the first time and after going through all of it, why did you want to do it again?
It was the experience because I knew what it felt like. The swamp was literally, and I answered the question honestly. When they asked me, they said, where would be the last place you want to go? And like I said, I was practicing desert survival. So that's where like I felt very comfortable. So they ask you all these questions when they're casting. And I told them the last place I would want to go is a swamp. Of course, who would want to? And then when they sent me the email, they were like, congratulations, you're going to the swamp in Louisiana. I was like, me and my big mouth, like Way to go, Mel. But in Africa, they don't tell us where we're going when we say, yes, I want to do it again. It was just the experience. That's why I was like, heck yes, I want to do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? Just real quick.
Oh, sorry.
Is there no, sorry. I was just going to ask her because the light's getting brighter behind you and it's kind of actually.
Yeah. Hold on.
It's kind of blurring you out. Do you have, yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Folks, well, Mel's taking care of that. If you would mind sharing, starting a watch party, getting this out there. If we hit 100 subscribers on our YouTube or Instagram, we will be doing another reading show like we had just recently. And again, those that turned in on the crazy show we had on Sunday, and we'll be doing more of those crazy. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yep. What do you think, Kristie?
A little bit. A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you guys see her okay? Because I know sometimes it's a little different for us to look.
Throw me a message there.
Yeah, throw Mike a message or put a message. Go sit where?
I can go sit outside or in my living room.
Wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay for now. Yeah, I think it's okay for now. I think it's all right. It was just getting to the point where it was blaring you out.
Yeah, the sun's setting like right.
Yeah, swamps are interesting places. I was out with Aaron there, a couple of weeks ago. And as I step off a kayak, he goes, "Hey, just watch for the pygmy rattlesnakes." And I'm like, "Oh, he's, blustering." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. No, he knows what he's doing." And we walk around and I'm like, I went stomping back and he comes back and he goes, "Oh, I forgot to go over this bug, this snake, this." And I'm like, yeah, I was kind of prepared, but you guys are watching, and especially him as a guy. Like, I gotta sleep here in about 5 minutes, out. And I'm like, I am not naked. I got bit by a brown recluse a couple of months ago, and it was like, really? Oh, it was bad. It was really bad.
You should send me pictures.
Oh yeah. Oh wait,
she's like, oh my God, that's horrible. I want to see that.
Ray hasn't tuned in yet. She's not my buddy Ray. We've had him on here a couple of times. It's like,
that's what I read. Like me and Jeremy went back to the island not too long ago, like 6 months ago. We went back to visit the island and where we were. And I'm walking and I'm like, holy shit. I was like, we did this naked. We are insane. Because it's like, it's. I mean, if you've seen it, I mean, it's just to think of it. But I was in a different mindset. You're like, you put like this game face on, and you're, in it to win it. Where if you just go out there on a Saturday, you're like, wow, why would anybody do this naked? Because we're crazy.
And on that
note, there's Joe.
Joe from Paranormal Oddities. He's actually a very big fan of yours, a very big fan of the Louisiana episode. He tends to remind me that all the time. He runs a paranormal shop in downtown Depew, as he says. I guess they call it.
Depew's about this big. Depew's about this big.
So you fly in and out of the Buffalo airport when you come visit us. It's basically a right turn and down the street. So. Joe's got a quick question. Did you receive any vaccines or shots to combat any type of insect bites?
So we had to get yellow fever. We were supposed to go to Botswana. So they had a list that we were supposed to get. The only one I got that I was out of date on was yellow fever. But I know that they also were vaccinating for, I think, TB. And then they gave us anti-malarial pills, which made Trent and I very sick because everybody else was taking Malarone and we were taking doxycycline hyclate, which is awful. It's just terrible. I actually, the doctors think, because I got back and I was having severe pain, like right here. I mean, I had a whole bunch of shit wrong. I even had like bug larvae in my shoulder when I came back from Tumbu flies. But Trent and I were like, it makes you very photosensitive. And so we both got burnt really bad. And he got malaria anyway. Like he took the pills and he still got malaria. And I came home and it would hurt, like when I would breathe, and I had like a cough. And so I went to the ER, and she thought I was batshit crazy, because you can imagine, like at the time I was like in Phoenix. And so I went to the Phoenix VA, and it has a reputation. And this wasn't like around that time period, but there's also a lot of like drug users and people that aren't all there mentally, who come in and tell them I have bugs on me, and there's no bugs. So she's like, the doctor at the ER is like, what are you here for? And I'm telling her, and I was like, oh, and can you take these bugs out of my skin? And she was like, what? And I was like, and this is right when I got back. And so I was like gone. I was sunburned. I looked like a crackhead. And so I had this video camera because they wanted me to record things. And she's like, and what do you have that camera for? I was like, for the TV show. I was like, they want me to still film stuff. And the nurse is there, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But this lady was like older. She has no idea what Naked and Afraid is. She was like, why were you naked in Africa? What are you even talking about? And she's like, I don't see any bugs. And I was like, no, they're inside. You have to get them out of the skin. So she sent me home. 2 months later, I was still having this pain. Come to find out, I had pancreatitis for 2 months. And it would just get like worse and worse. And I told them what I was doing, and they're like going through my history, because I had to go to the hospital twice for that pain before I was admitted. And they said, it's very rare, but it is like a side effect that's known to happen with that medication. And so that was probably the worst medication that I had to take in Africa. In the swamp, they didn't give me anything, but 3 people had West Nile when we left the swamp.
Oh my gosh,
wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Oh, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the swamp for a minute.
I want to go too.
So Samantha wants to know your swamp or African name. Did they give you a nickname? I think that's maybe it's thrown in there.
Oh,
it's Sam. Hey, Sam. So my nickname, I guess technically from the swamp, is Swamp Queen or Jungle Wife. The Jungle Wife came from a comment that I made during the episode about us not being married, like me not having a ring on my finger, but we were still married. And then that one's probably my favorite one. And in Africa, I don't think I had an actual nickname in Africa. Not yet. But Africa will still be there. I'll go back and I can go back and get one.
I'll bet you would.
I would.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So for those that are just tuning in tonight, our special guest is Melanie from Naked and Afraid. Melanie's had some really cool. I'm butchering my own. I can't even get my own name out. I got my COVID-19 survival stock from Paul. Wow. Trying to take care of me, that's how my boys roll.
Oh my God. Stingy.
It's been crazy. I'm sure. I just don't know if I tell them they're going to go through the monitor. So, but we have a couple of guests coming in. So Mika's overseas. We have quite a few viewers with people in from Australia and all over. So Mel's got background in the military. She's had some paranormal experiences, and we're kind of just building up to that point. Yeah. And we've had her on some ghost hunts. She's had some experiences on the show. So that's kind of why we wanted to build up, what was the show. For those that don't get Naked and Afraid, you can find it on Amazon Prime. You can find it on Hulu. You can find it on Discovery Channel, discovery.go. It's an interesting way of finding it. I still remember the first episodes, and I went, there's no way that I'm going to watch this show. And next thing I know is I'm traveling all over the country with guys from the show. And I'm like, So up to the point you went on, who was your favorite celeb on there?
For a female, it was Stacy. And And when I met her in person, I was like so like fangirling. I still love Stacy. And for boys, I would say Clarence was one of my favorites, and I actually got to do XL with him. So Clarence is like a super cool guy. Also super hard worker. And Jake, obviously, Jake was like one of my favorites. I just thought he was so funny. And I was like because I'm funny, and I was like, damn, I couldn't imagine, like, we would have so much fun and such misery if it was like me and Jake. I met him too. Jake's such a cool guy. That
would make another interesting music video.
Oh, heck yeah. And Jake has a lot of music video experience.
Karen said to me one morning, like 5 a.m. I'm like, what? I can't watch this now.
Which one was it?
The Patrick Swayze one?
Oh, yeah. The Zach Brown video.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach Brown.
Yeah.
Jake directed that video.
Oh, it's awesome. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he's good.
All right. So let's get back up here.
I know those questions are kind of pouring out.
They're coming in now. Joe's back with another one. With being naked with the gentleman for over 2 weeks, was there any sexual attraction to your partner?
No. The thing is, like, you have no libido, because your body shuts down. And that's not to say, like, if you were to be out there longer, I think biologically that is just something that would naturally happen. But we're only there for a certain amount of time, and you are literally trying to establish yourself, and your body is adjusting, and biologically you're just not looking to reproduce when you don't have anything yet. So there was no libido at all. It's not to say you don't have dreams out there. I'm just going to say, that's all I'm going to say. Dreams still exist.
I think that's the biggest question, though, right? Because we talked about that even over, in Rochester at the Parafest. It's like, how do you possibly sit there and look at somebody else and have to live and cohabitate and constantly stare at? There's no barrier. Everything's just literally hanging out there.
Exactly.
So, how do you
know? Are kids watching this show right now?
I don't believe so, but I don't. Not
okay,
usually.
I'll take a story for you guys later then.
Yeah. I do have us listed as mature on Instagram and Twitch and
see, I didn't even know you did that.
It's Facebook. Facebook. You never know.
It's not like super bad. It's just that, like, from the get-go, you see each other naked, obviously, but in positions that you normally only see someone like an intimate partner. And like when you're feeding the fire, when somebody's feeding the fire and you're staring at them from behind, that's a different view. Yeah, that's like a PhD medical doctor view that you get to see these people. And you're just like, this is my life now. And you're just, you bond real quick. You bond with each other really quick.
And when you told me that story the first time, and now I have a visual because you told me, it was like, no, I can't see this anymore.
Like, I did send him out of the lineup, but not even joking.
But imagine that you really do have to get back to basics. You do. As human beings, you really have to look, because it's survival first.
Yeah.
You have to have shelter. You have to be safe from everything that's out there. So it's almost, in a way, I feel like, you're for lack of a better way to say it, you're stripping back all the layers.
Oh, absolutely.
Of society and just how we've evolved in general. And, you're forced to see each other for who you are and what you're willing to do, because you really are pushed to the limit like that. You really are vulnerable in that way to each other and to the unknown. Absolutely. So, you're kind of forced into a position that almost doesn't allow you to even have the luxury of the sexual attraction in a way.
Oh, for sure.
You
And it's
know?
like vulnerable is probably one of the most accurate words to explain like how you feel doing this, is because
Yeah.
like you feel vulnerable and you know the other person does too. And like to each other you're vulnerable, but to nature you are too. And you're in a completely strange area. So like you said, you have to relearn, not even relearn, but you have to learn a whole bunch of things. It's like starting over from not zero as a human being, because we already have this knowledge. We're fortunate enough to have been able to study this stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's all we have going in is, you know, the certain things that we know. But everything else is learn as you go.
Yeah.
And we know how to make kids, and kids aren't essential to our survival in that situation. So our bodies are like, let's focus on what's important here.
Seriously, well, because the trust has got to be huge. You have to know you can count on each other.
And I would say not every partnership has that. Jeremy and I got really lucky that we have that advantage, that our partnership was so good.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great.
So
Yeah.
I did unmute for once. There's a first thing for everything.
You definitely you wanted to say something.
Yeah. So now we are on that vulnerable topic, and you're out there and you studied for your plants, for your food, but now you're naked at night. Let's start with the swamp.
So the first night in the swamp, so Jeremy was out there he was going on his 5th day when I got out there, and I had no idea. So I showed up and he told me that was his 5th day, and I was like, I was like, all right, well, obviously he looked like he's been through 5 days in the swamp by himself. So I was like, you like rest a little bit. I'll take care of the fire, because I was fresh. You know what I mean? Like, I had just come in, so I wasn't, you know, really sleep deprived. I wasn't starving, which he was. So first night, he's laying, and at this point we had our, we changed the shelter several times. And so our shelter was an A-frame, and he's like laying in it because it was only big enough for one person, because he made it smaller when his partner left. So he's laying in it, and I'm trying to keep the fire going. And you know how you can tell when someone else is there? It's kind of like, and I don't know if this is a thing that everybody can sense, but when the TV, like you turn the cable off, but the television is still on and it's black, but you can hear the electricity. I've tried to explain that to so many people and they've no idea what I'm talking about. But it's just like this high pitched sound. I'm thinking of like a dog whistle, and it's just like you feel it. And so I felt it, and like I look up, we had a path going to the river, and I look up and there's this white figure like squatted down, and I was like, first of all, it's night 1. I'm not hallucinating because I didn't eat anything to hallucinate. I'm not sleep deprived and I'm not starving. I was like, so my brain is firing on all cylinders. And I didn't want to wake Jeremy up, because I woke him up like 3 times already because of the alligators made me scared. And so I was like, if I tell him I see this thing over there, he's gonna think I'm batshit crazy the first night. And so I didn't say anything. And then like I think it was my day 5, he was like, I'm gonna tell you something. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to freak you out before. And he was telling me he saw this like figure. It was like a white torso and like the top half of a you know, human figure, and it was glowing white. And I was like, shut the hell. I was like, shut up. I was like, I am not even joking you. I was like, I saw pretty much the same thing, and I didn't want you to think I'm batshit crazy, so I didn't say anything. And he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. I was like, are there any urban legends about what that could be? And I mean, neither of us knew. But when we got home, I was trying to figure it out. And Stacy, actually talking about Stacy before, was the one that said it was a rake. And that's something I had never heard of before. But if you look up what a rake is and you see like pictures of it, there's this one, I don't know if it's real or fake, but it looks exactly like what I saw. And it's even squatted down. And I was like, that's it. That's the best description of what I saw.
Wow.
And that was the first creepy thing that happened in the swamp. That one we didn't catch on camera. Yeah, night one.
Next. See, you guys all thought we were bringing her on because, you know, we had a good time and we met her and she has cool stories. They have some really weird and paranormal and unexplainable experiences out there. These guys could go on for days with their experiences and stories, couldn't you? I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so what else?
They like there was so much bad energy, and like I said, we were talking about when I visited that thing that, you know, the Virgin Mary had come through. It was the complete opposite, like, feeling in the swamp. It was just like always dark, and just the noises were. We did hear some unexplainable things. I was like, "Is that a bellowing alligator?" And he was like, that's not an alligator." And there was just like these noises we couldn't explain. And still to this day, we can't explain some of the noises. And then we had, it was actually in the episode when I caught the face thing on night vision, because it was maybe 10, 15 yards from where we were. And I couldn't see it. Like, I would move the camera and look at it and couldn't see it with like the naked eye, and then I'll put the camera back up with night vision and it would pick it up. And when you're out there, and this was day 16, I think, you're completely like depleting in your cognitive abilities and like your critical thinking, but your senses get heightened. So we could hear things so much better. And this thing was right in front of the river, and it did not take many steps to get there. It didn't come out of the river. Nothing came. It just showed up all of a sudden, and it was rustling in the leaves, took a few steps, and that's what made us look over there. And then we caught it on camera, tried to came up with everything we could to debunk what it could have been. And there was no evidence that we could find that would explain it showing up. And personally, in the video, to me, it looked like it had like a hood on its head. And there was just so much history on that island, specifically from pirates to voodoo to KKK. I mean, this is going back like centuries. And I kind of was a skeptic before. And there's certain things that if I can't explain, I can't write it off. And that one, we caught it on tape, and it made our cameras turn off. I was like, what the? That
Yeah.
I was so pissed because I was like, nobody's going to believe us. Nobody's going to believe this just happened. But they did have the footage still.
Now, are you each issued a diary cam, or is there one diary cam per team?
No, we had 2 diary cams, one for each of us, because if one of us walks away, the other one still has a camera. They set up cameras in the shelter every night because the crew leaves. And they have this saying, if it's not caught on camera, it didn't happen. So Jeremy had his camera and I had mine.
And you said you swap, if I remember correctly, you swap batteries, right? From between the cameras to try to get to work, and it didn't work?
Yeah, because we called the medics because we couldn't get mine to turn back on. So we were like, we need them to bring us new batteries. And they give us fresh batteries before the crew leaves every day. And they make us test it every night. And it's like always a full battery. So we tried swapping it out with his and mine. And then we would put it back in his camera and it would work fine. And then we put it in mine and it wouldn't work at all. And then the medics come and they give us a fresh battery and it still won't turn on. And eventually we got my camera to turn back on. But I thought that was interesting because I know before I've heard how they take energy from their surroundings.
Oh yeah. I mean, if spirit wise anyways, from my perspective on things, they can mess with a lot of things. Like I use the Surface Pro 3 to record private readings. and I can watch the entire thing record. I don't even have to be able to watch it. I just use the timer, and I can go to review it later before I send it off to the client, and it doesn't want to work. The voices are different. Really? There's anomalies on it. Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you've heard people talk about, light switches or lights, flickering and things like that. And I mean, I've been in public before. My daughter and I were at a diner a few years ago, and slowly you saw from like across where we were, the lights in the restaurant started to flicker, and I didn't say anything, and then you hear my daughter go, "Oh, great, you're gonna get a message," because she could see because it was getting closer.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's so creepy.
Oh, great, we're gonna be here forever. So I mean, technology, electricity. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even people, who are really, who are gifted like I am, some of us have issues with. I burned out 2 brand new laptops. My husband bought me this one I'm using now for my birthday 2 years ago, and he was like, "This is the last one you're getting." I can't even help it. 6 months in, this thing doesn't work, and I'm getting the blue screen of death. I'm like, I didn't do anything.
No,
I need to get everything I have on off of it, and I can't even do that. It's awful. So yeah, I mean, you talk to people who are like me, and they'll tell you, cell phones, computers, tablets, sensor things. Oh yeah, it's awful. Mm-hmm. Oh,
that's crazy.
Videos. Oh yeah.
That's an expensive side effect.
It really is. It really is. Knock on wood, this is really good. So
trunk of the car is always loaded with batteries.
People don't realize, Oh my god.
So got another question from Joe, and I think we might kind of rounded around it. And we didn't want that one. Okay. Did you ever find out what it was? And do you have dreams of it? I guess, I don't know if he's talking about the creature or the face. And then if you're coming in now, again, it's Mel. She was on Naked and Afraid, and she's talking about her paranormal experiences while on the show. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, starting a watch party. And Sam also says it was a creepy thing. If you pause it, I've paused it a couple of times. So yeah. So if you could answer that question, and I'm going to mute myself here again.
Joe, we do not have any definitive answers for what that was. They even Travel Channel wanted to take Jeremy and I back to the island to kind of explore, because the island has a reputation, especially in that area. And they went back, and I didn't because I couldn't fly out there. But Jeremy went back to the island with them, and it was actually Ghosts of Morgan City is the show that they did when he went back to the island. But we never got conclusive answers. And it's actually a privately owned island, and the lady that owns the island went out there and said that was the only time that she was out there. I guess when they were trying to figure out a location to do the show is when the lady went out there with the crew. And she said that she never goes to that island, even though she owns it, because it's just too weird, she doesn't even want to go there.
Blow off.
Yeah. I mean, and what they didn't show on the episode either was the executive producer came out, and they actually did a cleansing thing, where she kind of burned an effigy, a cleansing effigy, in the fire. And just because so much weird stuff was happening, and there was just so much bad energy on the island. But we didn't have a definitive answer for anything. And I don't think they got any definitive answers when they were out there with the Travel Channel either. It's definitely active with all kinds of, stuff that goes on out there.
Well, I think you and I should go out there and try to figure that out. You can conquer the whole wilderness thing, and I won't go naked. I need my spray, I need my nets, I need my clothes, but
if you're not paying me, if you're not paying me at least 20 grand, my ass is not going out there naked again.
You know what? I gotta be with you on that one.
All right, well, I'll go naked again if you could promise me there won't be mosquitoes. But that's it. If there's mosquitoes, no, I can't do it. But
your partner's from down there, right? And he did not want to go to Louisiana, and here he got stuck in his home state.
He's from like northern Louisiana, which is completely different than South Louisiana. He even said that, and it's the swamp down there is just really different. And I don't know how much swamp they have in northern Louisiana. I know they have some, but not to the degree of like where we were.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Grave wants to know if they were indigenous practices. He also had another question. We'll get back to that again about the Africa.
Go ahead.
You didn't see any like voodoo dolls or anything like that? We got a voodoo doll expert in the audience right now. So
no, we didn't see any voodoo dolls or anything, but it was a very active location and like they kind of gave us a history of the island as far as the information that they had, and voodoo practice was a big one where we were.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, because I've had a few people, just clients myself, who have had, gifts from Louisiana, gifts from people who go either send it to them or brought back with them. And I've actually sent them Joe's way because Joe is very knowledgeable in a lot of things, and voodoo is not my thing. And when somebody goes down a certain road, I'm like, I can help you this much. And now we're going to send just somewhere where I know they're going to be able to help you the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Because it's a very different way of doing things. It's much deeper, it's much darker, and it's not to insult. I know there's positive and negative with everything. You get somebody who is not happy with you, and that is a very great team. So nope. no. So I can just imagine what energy is like, and you're talking about, then you have nature and you have water, you have all the natural energy of everything. So residual of what has already occurred there, and what that also itself invites in. It's just
exactly. And like
easy.
The thing is, when we went back to the island about 6 months ago, when we were going in, we kind of me and a couple of my friends that I stayed with down there, Greg and Tammy, we went to a few areas like around that island. They had like moss, they had like all these palms, like just so resourceful, and there was life and stuff. And then when we went back to our island, I was like, how is this all over except for on our island? Like the trees were rotten. Even like there was a walnut tree, and the walnuts just came off the tree rotten, like they were dead. It was just like the land was just not good. It was really weird. And I think it was an accurately named episode because it was called The Curse of the Swamp, because that's what it felt like. It just felt like the land was just all negative energy.
Right. What a shame too. I mean, it's such an amazing history, but to have such negativity follow for so many generations and so many years, it's just, but I guess nature has a way of working things out on its own too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Joe thinks this is an amazing show, and Mel is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And Joseph, the other Joseph, would like to know, so you felt the energy on the island. Was it dark? And
yes, it was very dark.
Very dark.
There was no like, the only glimpse of positive energy or positivity was either from Jeremy and I, or when we caught that deer. That was the only like glimmer of hope. So there wasn't a whole lot of positive energy. And so it was draining emotionally, to just try and stay positive. It's the swamp too. So it's naturally gloomy, and it just smells musty and stuff like that. But it definitely felt dark. I'm going to turn on a light. Hold on. I think it's getting dark here.
Okay.
So again, folks, if you're tuning in, please share, start a watch tour or a watch party for us. I'm in work mode. If we get up to 100 viewers on YouTube, Instagram,
is the glare
we will be doing another watch. No, it's not bad. Too bad. No, it's good. It's good. It's very good.
Better.
So we're gonna kind of switch a little bit of gears over to your Africa episode. And Ray was kind of wondering, was it the desert, jungle, or Sahara? It's gonna be one of those days today. Yep.
So Africa was like it was the savannah, really, which is where we were, honestly, to begin with, was very desolate. I mean, it was brown. There was no greenery whatsoever, but it was the end of a drought. And so it would start raining after about a week of us being there. And when it rains out there in the savannah, it rains. But then we moved and there was a river. So it wasn't terrible. And I would say it was a combo of the desert and the savannah, but most of the landscape was savannah. Now,
you're out there with a lot of other people on that episode, a lot of different personalities. Do you, and we're multifaceted when we look at energy healing, we look at the paranormal. Did you get time to like meditate on your own and really, I know a lot of people when they join the show is to kind of find themselves or some rebirth.
No, not really. The difference between XL and doing the regular 21 day is there's so many more cameras on XL because every group has a camera person. And once the groups meet up, there's more cameras around. And when you're by yourself, you have your diary cam, and that's probably the only time. When I say by yourself, it's just like the smaller groups with the 3 people. Then you have time to kind of have alone time. But even then, it's very limited because you're always working to do something. There was actually one, I thought, okay, so I left XL because I have PTSD, and this is something that I share with people. But at the time, I never told my family that I found out that I have PTSD. Like, I was diagnosed a month before we left. And we were talking about like the medication and stuff, and the malaria pills give you messed up dreams, which I had a good one. That wasn't the first one that I had wasn't related to my PTSD. It was just a malaria dream. I had a dream that like me, Duck, and Sarah were all laying around the fire, and it was just like we were that night. And I got up, and I always slept with my machete either under my head or on my chest. And I just got up from laying down and I killed Duck and Sarah, and I just went back to sleep. And then I was like, I woke up from my dream and I was like, oh shit. And Sarah and Duck looked at me and they were like, what did you dream about? And I was like, nothing. Nothing for you. Oh God.
Wow.
But I did start having like PTSD related dreams when we met up with the other groups, and it was really like breaking me down and working on me mentally. And I don't have a chance to be away from the camera. And I didn't want to be, you see it on national TV all the time, how like somebody on a reality show will do something or say something, and then it starts drama in their real life. It's like, how did this come out on national television? You know what I mean? And it was that thing. And so I was actually, there was one time Sarah and I were sitting and we thought that the cameras were gone. And so I took my necklace off and I was going to tell her just to make sure that we were completely alone because the necklace is on microphone. And I tried to tell her why I was like not myself. And then I heard, somebody like step on a stick behind us, and it was one of the guys with the camera. And I was like, damn, if I could have just told her or had like 5 minutes to myself, it might have made a difference. But you don't really have a lot of time to really, at least not on ours, to meditate. The other thing is we always had a ranger, right behind us because of the animals. And so it's like we were literally never alone. there was times when you could find a pocket, like to sit by the river or something, but then you would be wasting your time if you're not hunting or something, especially in Africa, because it's so brutal, the terrain. But I would have loved to have like an hour a day to meditate. That probably would have made, honestly, if I could do yoga or meditate, where I could get out of that headspace that I was in, I think it would have made a huge difference.
I'll bet it would have. I'll bet.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that your experiences in doing all of this made your PTSD worse or better?
No, it honestly, because I do treatment. It's called EMDR. And it's you kind of relive the experience, and it desensitizes you to it. And before I went on the show, I had only started treatment 2 weeks before, and I had 4 sessions. And so I wasn't as far, and like you get into like coping and, you know, kind of own what happened to you. And I hadn't made it that far. And so when I did the show and I started having those dreams, it just brought things up that I needed to address. But I didn't know that before. And so like, I do think the best decision I made was leaving when I left. Because when I got home, I told them, and like, cause my therapist always asked me, they're like, oh, so since our last visit, has anything come up? And I like, when I got home, I was like, well, shit. Yeah. I was like, this came up and this came up. And, you know, I remember this and this, and it's part of therapy. And so do I regret leaving? No. I mean, I was doing pretty well. Aside from like, I had really bad sunburn and I was throwing up like every day. But other than that, like I could still, I wanted to make, you know, a canteen for when they went out hunting with the cactus paddle. Like that's something I knew how to do, but mentally I was just like broken down. Like I was so beat. But when I got home, I had all this information, these memories that I could address. And if anything, it probably was better for, you know, recovering from, you know, my trauma.
Wow. That's good.
It sucks because like, it's so frustrating to know that that's why I had to leave.
Right.
But at the same time, like for me, health-wise, it was good.
Yeah, but it seems like there was a higher purpose too, you know?
Oh yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize, they think, oh, you guys are on a TV show and you're not coming home or not dealing with all that baggage. And, you know, how many people came home with extra friends? Like you said, you come home with bugs or other parasites and diseases, and how many months or years, you know, to go find yourself, you know?
Exactly.
You know,
and so. It's like my experience was almost 3 years ago in Africa. And it's like, I remember it like it was yesterday. And I think if not everyone, then majority of the people after their experiences have like mild PTSD, at least directly following the experience, because it's such a drastic change in a lifestyle. And then you have experiences that happen out there, whether it's like interactions with wildlife to, you know, just being alone with your own thoughts that a lot of people never do. And having to address things that just pop up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So many people are so uncomfortable in their own skin.
They
can't, you know, they're always purposely staying busy. And I've been guilty of that myself. You know, it's only been in recent years that I can be alone with in my own head and not freak out about it, you know, even if there's something to really freak out about, you just don't, you feel like you should always be doing something. And for people who have issues, it just makes that worse, or not okay with themselves makes it 10 times worse, you know? So that's a hard thing. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Sure. But it probably makes it worse too when you're never alone and you know you're always on the spot too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like when I noticed that we were being filmed, like when I thought we were alone, I mean, I was pissed. I just wanted to be alone for 5 minutes, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, you're filming a TV show, but I was like, I just need 5 fucking minutes alone.
3 kids. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Yeah. Mom, you out of the bathroom yet? Is everything coming out okay?
Do you guys have to meet with any of the locals for any ceremonies before you went out into the wilds of Africa, or did you have any paranormal experiences while you were there? And then
any paranormal experiences?
Yeah.
Personally, I did not have any in Africa. When we were in Africa for about 4 days, I think, before filming actually started, and they kind of give us a briefing on, like, a safety briefing with the rangers, and they're like, it's pretty funny because these rangers, like, they work the wildlife out in Africa for like years and years, and they were like, well, this is what you can eat, this is what you can't eat. And I remember in the briefing, they told us that we could eat the figs from the fig tree, and they were like, but you want to open it and scoop out the wasps, because wasps lay their eggs in the fig. And then there's like hundreds of like little baby wasps in there. And so he's like, so you just scoop it out with your finger and then you can eat it. And we're all like, wait a minute, why do you get rid of the wasps? Do they have stingers? And he's like, no. And we're like, so you could eat them, right? And he's like, yeah, but why would you? And we're like, we all start laughing. We're like, I don't think you understand what we're here to do.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, like, they would, like, the rangers would make bets after we started filming on how long we would last. Like, none of them expected any of us to last more than 10 days. And the longer we made it, they would be like, okay, 15 days. Okay, 20 days. And then they would be like, you're crazy. Like, we wouldn't come out here and do this. They were like, you Americans are out of your mind. And we're like, oh, we don't.
Oh, yeah.
But we were in, I stayed in like this little lodge. It was like a really quaint B&B. And there was like an anti-poaching convention in where we were. And so there was a whole bunch of like special forces people that are connected to anti-poaching. And so we got to talk to them a lot about the poaching industry out there. That was pretty cool. And the woman who owned the lodge was such a mom. Her name was Violet, and they would get us like fresh game every day. And the night before insertion, we had like this fresh warthog, kudu, just all this fresh caught meat. And I just thought that was really sweet, that they got us like real meat. And we were trying to get like answers out of them, because we were like, does it rain here ever? Because it was so dry. And we were like, what kind of weather can we expect? And this is what we were asking the people that were working at the lodge. And the guy was like, oh, it's going to rain. It's going to rain really bad, so bad. And we were like, we were looking at the weather on TV, and it wasn't saying that. Of course, we weren't like right outside the lodge where we were dropped off. But that guy was so right. In a week, oh my gosh, those thunderstorms. We were like, this is what he was talking about.
Oh boy. Oh my gosh. What would be like one of the most valuable lessons or experiences that you've had doing the show?
Personal, like, it's more, I mean, I guess majority of the challenge is always a personal experience, but mine was seeing animals in the wild. Because I, like, outside of this, I've only seen a giraffe in a zoo. And I've never seen them run away. But if you come up on a giraffe in the wild, they run away, and they look like they're running in slow motion. And seeing giraffe in the wild, zebra, elephant, it's just like, it's such a beautiful like thing. And you're like, this is what it's supposed to be like. Like, I understand the point of a zoo, but I am so grateful to have experienced that, like in the real world, because who knows, like in 50 years, there could be no more lions and elephants in the wild, but like, I got to see it. So that was my favorite, is like honestly living in the wild, and having that opportunity that majority of the people in the world will not get.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So Paranormal is not something new.
No.
He's got that look on his face.
Are we getting around to the incubus?
I thought that might be.
Let's go for it. Next.
Ray said it's good to have a howler monkey throw poop at you, but we can talk to those guys down south.
I'm so glad we didn't have a howler monkey.
Oh. I just heard too many stories from people about howler monkeys. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, they're jerks. They are jerks.
Jerks. I love it.
Poop-flinging jerks.
Oh my gosh.
So, do you want to get into that, or we can swing around?
So before Naked and Afraid, after the Navy, I was living in Virginia from when I was in the Navy, and then I decided to go to college out there when I got out. So sophomore year of college, that's how this story actually starts. I went to bed one night, and then I wasn't asleep. Never fell asleep, but I was laying down on my belly, and I felt like a weight, like somebody laid on top of me, and I was like, shit, because before I had sleep paralysis, which like I looked it up, and it was like there's all these pictures that goes back centuries that depict this experience, and it's like it's always a demon that's sitting on someone's chest. And when I looked at that, I think it's an accurate way to, like, explain that situation, because when that happened, just the weight on my chest, I was terrified. Like, it felt like so scary, and I couldn't scream, it was just, and to go back to like energies, it was just like such a negative energy. And then that was like the first time anything like that ever happened to me. And then this time when I was in college was when I was on my belly and it laid on my back. And I was like, before I couldn't move when I had an experience like this. So I tried to see if I could move, and I could. And so I was like, all right, maybe it's not like a bad thing. Maybe it's not a negative energy. Fast forward. I mean, I'm going to spare you guys the details because that's is not that show. But
that's how those shows start.
It was definitely a sexual experience. Absolutely, 110%. I was never scared. It just didn't feel like it was malicious or anything. And again, when you don't have an answer, what do? You go on the internet and you look it up. And I literally just typed it into the search bar in like sentence form, what kind of happened to me. And then I found all this stuff. There's like message boards. There's like websites about it. I found like historical information. And I was like, that's, the most telling thing for me was when I read like the message boards and other people that shared their experiences. And I was like, they're so detailed. And I was like, that's like the exact same thing. I was like, I never read into this before. Before this, the only thing I ever heard of was Incubus, the music band. That was it. And then like I was reading all this stuff and I was like, that's crazy. There has to be something here if so many people have the same exact experience. And I'm not one that like was researching it. So it's not like my brain could create this story off something I heard before. Right. But I went to school the next day and I told my friend, and she was like, she knew exactly what it was immediately. And she was like, you're supposed to like pray so that it doesn't come back to you. And she was like, I don't know what like she practiced outside of school. We weren't like super close friends at the time, but she said, I'll say a prayer for you to keep it away. Da, 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 da. I'm assuming she did because he never came back. And I'm not very happy about it, Shauna, because I had a great time. So I blame Shauna for me getting stood up by my incubus.
Be careful with your sport check. I've had a couple clients who've had an issue. Oh man,
it's been not like good. 11 years.
All right, so So we got some questions from the audience. Cheese would like to know what's the difference between an incubus and a succubus.
The difference between an incubus and a succubus is an incubus is a male, a succubus is a female.
And then Joe would like to know.
Oh, and they say that they say that an incubus is the male form, and it tries to impregnate you with whether it's like negative energy or whatever that could be. And they say that the succubus tries to take your energy. She tries to steal it and impregnate herself with your energy. That's like in a nutshell.
Yeah, you're correct. It's like it is like an abusive situation though too, because it is human, and it is it's not good. The idea is to break you down in one way or another, just like because that's what demons do. So that's a very because I know I've heard other people tell this story like you have, and it's they're like, but it really actually wasn't
scary.
Like it wasn't bad. Yeah. Because I've heard it where people have said it didn't feel threatening, and then others where yes, it was threatening, and it was definitely. But the main purpose still is to break you down, take your energy, and eventually take over. And so that's the part.
From when we were at the Parafest, I think someone actually said that is their goal, is they put you at ease and make you feel comfortable so that you don't try to get rid of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
It worked. Their methods are effective.
Got the job done.
I'll behave myself. I can't.
Hang on. This is another good one here. I don't care how hot the succubus is. I'm not doing it with a ghost.
Hey, don't knock it until you try it. I know I'm probably condoning something that's like not great, but just one time. Just try it once.
What is wrong with you?
And to follow up on that.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just don't want to deprive anyone of a good time, okay? Just once.
Was there at least McDonald's when you got up in the morning? Or?
No, there was not McDonald's. I remember after it happened, like, I didn't go back to sleep, so I definitely had a Monster. I remember drinking a Monster, which is kind of poetic, I guess.
Sure.
Better than an amp, I guess.
Oh my God. All right. Well.
So Joe was wondering if you thought maybe a negative spirit followed you into the swamp, and that's what you saw down there.
Honestly, I guess it's possible. The incubus, it didn't have a face, but it was like a dark figure. Like that was kind of like the outline of a human figure, but it was like a shadow. Whereas the thing that I saw in the swamp, the first one was like a white figure, and the second one, it had like what I think looked like a hood. But maybe it was keeping an eye on me, and it saw that I was there with Jeremy, and it was like, hey, sir, keep your hands to yourself. I'm here. I'm watching you. So I guess it's possible, but it didn't look the same.
His hair was definitely not done.
One can only hope, right? No, but I guess
with that.
I had to do it.
No, but like
this really cool Russian accent. You gotta do it.
Oh yeah.
You gotta do it.
Do what?
The Russian accent.
Oh yeah. I thought you said the cricket, but
Oh no, cricket. I don't know about a cricket.
When we were in New York, and lady came over and she started talking like she was also from Russia, but she said she from Ukraine, so not too far, not too close. But Uncle Voldemort Putin would approve of our connection.
And then she said, climb into this tube and we'll see in 3 hours.
You climb in blender. That's how we make white Russians. We stick white man in blender and just hit pulse until it is all nice and smooth. Bada bing, white Russian. It's very good. Very good.
Regular conversation with her, and all of a sudden, boom, she goes.
Sometimes I wouldn't even remember I'm doing it. Oh.
So another question from the audience.
Hey, Del.
Yeah.
Oh, Del and Donna.
Yep.
So they want to know if Jeremy ever got rid of the stick he took from the island. Now that is always an interesting factor, and sometimes taking things from those things is not a good thing.
1 second.
Oh no, does she have it? No, she's got it. Of course she's got it. Why wouldn't
she?
This one is my stick.
Oh, okay.
From the swamp. It's actually still got dirt in there. Can you see it? But this is my hiking stick from the swamp. And so the story with Jeremy's is, and I keep this, it's in my bedroom, so it's terrific. We do these fundraisers out in California every year for cancer research and stuff like that. And he was doing fundraising, and this person donated a lot of money. And so he was like, I wanted to thank him, give him something, as a thank you. And so he sent this guy his stick, his hiking stick from the swamp. And so they went out to the island again and filmed Ghosts of Morgan City. And Jeremy asked this guy if he could send it back to him so that they could have it for the show. So the guy sends it back, and Jeremy takes it out to the island. It's in the show, and they're talking about how all this bad stuff happens, and negative energy attaches to certain items, and all that stuff. And so Jeremy, the episode airs, the guy sees it, and Jeremy was like, hey, I want to send this back to you. What's your address so I can send it back? And the guy's like, nah, you can keep it. So the guy, he was like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. You keep it. That's yours now. But I don't know. I love mine. It smells good.
Wow. Yeah, you can never be too careful. Okay, Mike didn't unmute himself again.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Not interrupting. Ladies first. Joe wants to know if there's matchincubus.com.
Oh, if there is, please let me know. Because what if he's out there and he can't find me because I'm not on that dating website? I'm sorry, Bill.
What's the profile on that?
Watch the next. Hey, if somebody wants an idea for another TV show, do Paranormal Lovers. I would love to be a contestant on that show. Sign me up.
Your ass. Are you kidding me? That would be funny. Oh my gosh.
I knew I was going to get into this. I just didn't know it was going down there. So up till last year, you never had a true ghost hunt, and you had that at the Avon Inn, correct?
No, not. I mean, you know where Jerome is? Have you ever been to Jerome, Arizona?
I have no. Where is Jerome?
Jerome is actually it's an hour and a half from where I live right now. It's northern AZ, but it's closer to Flagstaff.
Okay.
And it's a tiny town. It used to be this huge copper mining town. And I did a ghost tour there. And the history there is just insane. And it's one of the things that happened was, all the miners that would go there to mine for copper, there's this giant building and they turned it into like a living quarters. And people were dying. I think it was of TB. And they had no place to bury them because it's built like this town is on a hill. And so they put them in a vat and they burned them up. And then they poured the bodies in with the cement that's like on the streets now. So they built the streets with this cement, like the sidewalks, and the bodies, the cremated bodies of the people that died.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so like they're literally built into the ground of that city.
Why would they do that?
Exactly. It's so, I mean, I guess there was, and then like one of the buildings is a hospital, but now I think it's like a wood shop or something, and a wood shop and then a rock, like crystals and stuff they sell there. But it's an interesting town. I love Jerome, but the history there is really messed up.
Yeah, it sounds like that place we were 2 weeks ago with the small schoolhouse that burned down and they just left everybody in the schoolhouse.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
But it was.
Yeah, a freaky place that we were at.
Where is this?
Mexico.
Yeah, it's about
Oh,
2.5 hours from Rochester. So,
they just left the bodies in the church.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff like cholera and some other crazy stuff that went on, and it was. We took a hike up there, and it was okay. It was a freaky place. It was
like a great place.
Oh yeah. We left Kristie again. I walked off with another investigator. Social distancing.
Exactly.
another Bigfoot hunt. We left her.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm being told not to go that way. Mike's like, see ya. I'm like, you know what? This is getting old. I've read this story before.
I've heard this.
And finding myself in a vortex. Yeah. No big deal. I was worried about Bigfoot. I was worried about like the bears that are out there.
Yeah.
He carries everything. I don't. So I was like, thanks a lot. Whatever. And it's not even like we're gone for just a few minutes. It's a while. So, like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We're gone. I can't even see him. I'm like, okay, you know what?
You got cell phones. Occasionally they work in the woods.
Oh, yeah. Not when you need them.
Okay.
No, they never do. I have no emails from anybody. Let's see. Ray lost connection. Another
Jeremy
super
was
fan
going to join us, but he had like a dinner, so I don't know if he's going to make it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I know, darn. Where is he going in all this social distancing stuff?
I was talking to him earlier. He does like construction and stuff, but still out in Louisiana.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully get a trip out here to the West Coast soon.
There you go. There you go. Next time we'll have to bring him on next time. For sure.
Arizona's not the West Coast.
I was just going to say the Wild West. I said the West Coast, but it's the Wild West. That's what I meant. I'm really glad you caught me on that because it's the Wild West. That's what I meant.
No. Arizona is one place I need to go about every 10 years to recharge my batteries.
Oh, I love it out here, especially northern Arizona.
Yeah, it's a run out to the canyon or run out to Sedona, get out to the Red Rock, or walk that south rim or the west rim there. Where there's no safety, no guidelines, just walk out on that skyway and that's 4,000 foot down. You're standing on the edge.
I know some good spots out there for primitive camping. We actually last year, I mean, we go up there quite a bit because it's only about not even 3 hours away from me. We saw a black wolf. It was pretty cool.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, a black wolf up by the Grand Canyon. It was awesome. A little scary, but.
Have you hiked down in the canyon?
No, not yet. I like I used to work. The HR, like senior HR person, she always does rim to rim, and so she's supposed to give me like all this info on hiking, all through the Grand Canyon because she's been doing years. So hopefully I can get down there soon. I mean, I did have a supai a couple years ago, which if you guys ever have that opportunity, you need to do Havasupai Falls. It's Havasupai Falls. It's like this big waterfall. It's on a reservation. The reservations open in February, and they usually sell out in a day. Like I can send you some pictures of that too. It's the second most beautiful place I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Travel Channel's got it posted on their $10,000 whatever it is going on right. Their contest is one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of those places I gotta get to. I mean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just took a day last year. Well, it's been last August we went out there. So it always seems like August I'm out there. No clue. I got about 2 miles down I got 2 miles down in the south rim of the canyon, and my friend sprained her ankle and had to hike her back out because it wasn't far enough to go to the aid station. It wasn't far enough. So it was like, thank God, fitness person, carry them up and out. 20 years you're younger, but it's 102 degrees. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
why am I here? And I was looking at jobs.
What am I doing?
It was like 102. I'm watching Police Academy. Watch these guys run. I'm like, no, I'm on horseback. I'm like, no. Where's the air conditioning? Put me back in New York.
Damn Hollywood.
I don't know why I wanted to. So does anybody have any more questions for Mel? And what is your next adventure?
What do you have coming up next? What's planned?
I would love to have a child at redemption. That's, what I want. But honestly, a lot of people were like, you should try to do Survivor. You should try to do Survivor. I wouldn't mind doing Survivor for the challenge game aspect of it. As far as TV goes, that's, a lot of people also talk about doing alone. I don't think I could do alone though, because I don't like being alone that long. I'm an extrovert and I need people around. I already know that's not for me. It sounds wonderful, but the other thing there is, the financial motivation. I'm not a financially motivated person. So I think that's, I have to be in it for money in order to want to do alone that bad and have a chance at winning. But I think alone it's an awesome show. I just don't think I could do it. But nothing really television wise planned in the future. Everything that I want to do is just I just want to travel, but obviously that's not in the cards anytime soon.
Where do you want to go when you can travel? What are your plans? Where do you want to go next?
So before we were told we were going to South Africa, we were supposed to be going to Botswana in the Okavango Delta. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Okavango Delta, but that place is amazing. And so they told us about a month before that that's where we were going to go. And they to give us an opportunity to study, plants, animals there. So we're studying for this, and then they have political problems, and so we couldn't get a permit to do the show. And so South Africa was plan B, which is about 350 miles south of Botswana. There's actually a show on Nat Geo. That was the only production that I think was happening in Okavango Delta when the permits were put on a freeze. And if you watch, I think it's called Into the Okavango. It's amazing. But that's where I want to go so bad. It eats me inside. I know there's nothing I could do. It wasn't our fault that we didn't wind up going there. But oh my gosh, it looks so amazing. So if I could do that, I want to do I mean, I just love Africa so much, but I've never been anywhere in Asia. I would love to go to Southeast Asia. So if you guys know anybody bankrolling world travel, you know, throw my name their way, because I'm open to anything.
Let's go on a ghost hunt. Let's do an investigation.
Absolutely. 2 birds and 1 stone. That sounds like a fantastic plan.
I'm ready for a road trip.
Yeah.
Seriously. Get me out of here.
I'm not sure if I am.
Oh, there's always Pennsylvania.
Seriously, all you talked about earlier, I keep running into it harder and harder and harder. It's not doing anything. I'm opening it, it's not working. My mom always put it in her head, so I don't know. But
right over my head. Sometimes running the tech, I miss everything that's going on. So you got no takers on anybody coming on.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has definitely been very interesting, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight and to share your experiences. It's been really neat. It's been really cool.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm so excited that I could do your show.
Oh my gosh, we're just thrilled that you could do it.
I mean, sure. I got so much going on over here. It's just insane.
All right. Well, you know what? I didn't do my Tactical Tuesday tonight, and I have a survival person here. So you've been out in the swamp. You've been out in the savannah. Mm-hmm. What is the one tool that you find most important besides fire making to have with you? What have you seen? You've seen all these other survivalists out there, and
in general, like for any survival situation.
Yep.
I would say knowing how to get water. Okay. Because like, I don't want to say a pot, even though yes, a pot is very essential. Because if there's not like a pond or something that you have water, you have to be able to find it. So that tool, I guess, knowledge of sourcing water and water purification, no matter what the environment is. That's because like I know how to make a canteen with, like I said, like a cactus paddle. So that'll carry water, but you still need to purify water that you still need to get water, and you still need to, make it drinkable. So having that tool, I would say, is the most important.
And you've gotten lost in the desert and had to worry, it's a big thing. And swamp, I mean, what's bug infested and what you're going to drink from? I guess it's really good to know that. So I appreciate that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I thought you were finished. How would you purify water out there? How would you know it needed to be purified enough to drink? And then how would you go about doing that?
So in the desert, given that you have fire, and I can make fire in the desert, it's not that difficult, especially in like a very dry area, because the resources are pretty decent. My favorite method though, because when I don't have a container out in the desert, I do use the cactus paddle for the canteen, and you heat rocks up, and the rocks can boil the water. You just put them in the canteen, and that will boil the water. So you can hold it. It won't hurt your hand. And, you just use sticks, kind of like chopsticks, to pick up the rocks and put them in there. It's very difficult to get water. I mean, they always say you can cut down like a barrel cactus and drink that water, but that's like an absolute last resort. And it's not like, I think there's a John Wayne movie when he chops a cactus down and there's like a pool of water in there. It's so alkaline, and the chances are you're going to get diarrhea. So, and the other thing is, like, you would like just mash it up, and it does like have a liquid, but you would just suck the liquid out of the cactus. You wouldn't just swallow cups and cups of water. But like I said, it's really alkaline. So that's not like a completely reliable source. And if you have green plants out there, You could always, if you have it, like a plastic bag or something that you're wearing that could act as like a catch that you wrap around it, it'll evaporate. The same idea as when you make a hole in the ground, you fill it with live plants, and you have something to catch the condensated water in the middle. You can urinate around it too, because that'll condensate. But my primary method would be I guess a combination of that and heating water that you would find with the cactus and the rocks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And it depends on where you are, because like where I lived when I was down in the valley, down by Phoenix, on a map, it'll tell you there's a riverbed there. And I mean, I've dug really deep down into a riverbed and never hit water. So maps aren't always a reliable source of getting water. One of the, like, actually one good method is if there's birds, because we have a lot of turkey buzzards, vultures out here, and if they're not over a dead carcass, then there's a possibility they're over by a body of water.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I guess that's why they call camelbacks camelbacks,
Exactly. Yeah. They got to store their water. And if I saw a camel out here, I'd probably try to take it down and put a straw in the pump. Yeah. Stick a straw in that bed, Larry.
I did some hiking at South Mountain, and oh, jeez, yeah.
Oh, in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost moved out there as a lifeguard. It didn't make any sense, but
Really?
Yeah.
Well, South Mountain is kind of dry. There's a few oases out here. It depends on where you go. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like a real oasis out in the wild, but it's amazing. It's like somebody put it there. It's just like in the middle of the desert. Sonoran National Monument is not far from here, but it's like in the middle of the desert, and there's a little oasis right there. And you're like, how the hell did this get here? Because the rest is just dry. And then there's like literally palm trees and shit just all around it. But yeah, relying on you coming upon an oasis is not a good plan either.
Adds a lot of meditation there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dowsing rods and
right? Hey, that's focused thinking.
Oh my god, you're crazy. This is great. Does anybody, we have a little bit of time left, but we are going to have to wrap up soon. So does anybody have any questions for Melanie at all? We've talked about a lot of stuff today, and this is great. A lot of it's always
really good. Yeah. It has been good.
Oh my god. So tell me, wait, because I wasn't there. I was only there to show. This is my first year. I was just a patron on Sunday for the Rochester Parafest last year. So tell me a little bit more about what you thought about the ghost hunt, the paranormal, because you really hadn't had much experience with that.
Oh, when not this past year when we did, but the year before, they let us tour the hotel. Yeah.
Right. I wasn't there for that year.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting and confusing, because when your brain tries to make sense of shit, and I'm like a very scientific, logical person, so that I try to eliminate things before I'm like, all right, what the hell's going on? So like we would be down in the basement, and the most confusing part for me was the flashlights. Like when we were sitting in the basement and the damn flashlight would move and it would turn off and on, that was pissing me off, because I was like, first of all, I was like, I know somebody's doing something. And I was just like, I don't know what you're doing. It's just like when you watch a magic trick and you're like, I know you're doing something, I just don't know, because my brain can't comprehend it.
Right.
So it's like,
right,
something's going on here.
That's hysterical.
But that I loved the ghost hunt last year. Hold on one second. I gotta plug my phone in to my charger. Un momento.
Okay, guys, we're getting close to the end of the show, so we're not going to be taking other guests coming in. Can everybody hear me? Okay, Kristie, can you hear me?
Yep.
So,
what?
Can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Those new birthday present ear pods, you know. I'm not sure if you can hear it.
You're not the only one who can have selective hearing, you know.
Yeah, I'm just old. It's the haircut.
Don't get me started on the haircut. I'm just teasing.
You know what I think is like I haven't had my hair cut in years, and people are like, I keep seeing these things about with the quarantine, people can't go to their barber, and I'm like, damn, how often do people get their hair cut? that it's that, you know, life impacting.
Oh, I know.
I barely brush my hair.
Yeah, but see,
I had to do mine the other day.
I have hair like yours, so if I'm not straightening it or doing something with it, my hair is very naturally curly and wavy, and just it gets bulky before it gets long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't go every month, maybe for a trim or something, but yeah, every couple of months I'm going to get my, you know, but yeah, it's like,
yeah. I was just like, damn, am I supposed to be going to the hairdresser? Or that's something adults are supposed to do?
You don't have to, though. With hair like ours, we can just, you know, you're not supposed to wash it every day. You're supposed to use your fingers to run through it so the curl stays, you know, and doesn't get frizzy.
Yeah.
It's all right. Beautiful. So I always look at everybody else. With me, it's like poodle hair.
Luckily, it's not very humid here, or this thing would be like, whew. Ooh, buddy.
Tell me about it. It's awful. You really like?
I got a message through the email. Sharon Cobell just wanted to say thank you. She really enjoyed the show. It was very interesting. So I don't know why. There's a couple of people who sent me some messages that way because for some reason, I don't know if we started a watch party or something, or it's not coming in. And I'm looking up because I have another monitor up in front of me, so that's where I've got the email going. So maybe I'm seeing things. I don't know. So you don't like flashlights. So
no, it was just like they would ask a question and then the damn thing would answer with doing flashlight stuff, and then like, I don't know. I was just like, my brain was like, what the hell? And it's, you know, when you make a noise and a dog looks at you, like they tilt their head. That's what was going on. Like my brain was trying to figure it out. And I was like,
yeah.
You also, if I remember correctly, you guys also had a spirit box going.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't you have some interesting bodily functions?
There's this one that kept answering us. They would make fart noises. It was making fart noises on the box, and then they would laugh. And I was like, this has got to be the coolest ghost like to ever come across on a box. And like we were like, was that a fart noise? And then they would do it again. And they would say things, but I just remember the fart noises, and they thought that was the funniest thing. And I was like, regardless to how old this spirit was, farts were funny like centuries ago, and they're still funny. So like, like sense of humor never changed.
No, I mean,
I was upstairs with my parents, and we're talking about, you know, Henry Ford and George Eastman and all these famous peoples, and you guys come out giggling, and I'm like, what happened? Like, whoopee cushion farts, and I'm like, I got stuck upstairs with the old people.
Because it was so funny. We were like the last group.
Oh, wow.
We were the last group, and we were like, these ghosts are answering questions. They were like, let's just fart. Like, let's just make fart noises.
Yeah, because I was down in the basement. It was Dan Class's, like, from the Hinsdale house, his brand new spirit box when we went down with your parents and Michelle. And we had spirit communication between a young girl and an old man, and it kept going, and she was singing, and all of a sudden we're like, no, we want to talk to the girl, and out of nowhere it was like, boom, and the box just fried. Yeah. Dan's like, really? This is brand new. What? I guess we're going upstairs now. But it was like, a bolt of lightning hit it. It was like, neat, it's done.
No, okay. That sucks.
Hey, Dan knows
for the box. It was like, oh,
oh my God. This past one, I found one of the lights that we used the year before. It was one of Ted's lights. I found it down in the basement.
Oh, you guys went back to the basement. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that? What?
Because we were staying at the hotel, and I asked Jennifer, the lady that like owns the hotel, if we could go down to the basement to check it out. And she was like, yeah, so she took us down there.
How did Chance do with that?
Oh, Chance was loving it. He was loving it. Yeah. Oh, she took us like all over the basement. It's much bigger than where we just went.
Wow, I would love to see. I was really hoping they were going to do it this year. I would love to see it.
Yeah. There was this old, because I think like where the staff, like the kitchen used to be down there, and there was like a staff bathroom down there. Obviously it doesn't work anymore, but it was so old. And she was like, there's a bathroom down here? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I didn't even know that was in here. Oh my God, and there's like an elevator, but it's so old. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Wow. All right. Well, unfortunately, it looks like we are at that time.
Yes.
And we could talk to you forever, all night long.
I know. Daisy. I was like, this is so much fun.
I know. We'd love to have you back sometime if you want to come back.
Yeah. Absolutely. I had a blast. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for everybody who has hung in there with us for the 2 hours. It's been great having you all and having your questions. Everyone's commenting about how they love, all the laughing and the stories and the joking around. So yeah, it looks like everyone's enjoyed themselves, and I know we definitely did. So
me too.
Yeah. So please stay safe and well, okay? And definitely keep in touch.
Hey, you too, and I will.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Mike.
and hello from Buddy the Bigfoot's out there.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy. I just have my buddy shirt today.
Oh, Buddy.
We've definitely got a plan. When you guys come back, I got to get you guys out. We've said 2 years in a row, get you out and do some Bigfooting, and we got to get you over to Letchworth. There's some really cool history over there.
Yeah, like I was saying, I'll take more days off work next time.
Yeah, we'll put you up, get you hooked up. So, thank you so much, and folks that are here. Where's My Sage is not always just readings in the paranormal. It's life experiences that makes us go on and beyond. It gets us off the couch, and right now, with us being stuck at home and on the couch or in bed,
yeah.
We know there's other experiences. There's challenges out there. Ladies like Mel to go out and say, hey, I need to learn this because I want to go out and hike in the woods and know where it's at. For my Bigfoot people, it's important. For you folks that are out ghost hunting and you go to a desert, swampy, mucky island, whatever the geology is, but knowing what survival skills you might need. Your car may break down on that back road between,
absolutely,
Tempe and the Grand Canyon or the Adirondacks in the middle of the winter. So,
especially if you have a partner who likes to take off on you.
Yeah. So,
take a big lighter everywhere you go.
There you go.
And having friends and having people to stand by. And I've been blessed by cast members from the show being there when I need them for things. So, watching them, they go through a lot. And so God bless you. I couldn't do the bugs.
Thank you.
No
You don't know until you try.
Hell. Yeah.
It's fine. It's totally fine to cry though, Mike. I can't tell you how many times I've cried because mosquitoes.
Yeah, I have no problem crying. I just, I got the little sign, it's prime rib blood, whatever, grade A. I don't even make it 3 steps out in the backyard, and I get
just laugh to you.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna get bit by something out on a Bigfoot thing or in some old house or something." No, I got bit in the backyard.
Yeah.
No, the recluse was in the backyard.
Yeah. Go figure.
So.
Oh gosh.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yes. Thank you for everything, and please stay safe and stay well.
You too. All right. Good night, guys.
Again.
Good night.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Good night. All right, everybody. I know we're over, so we probably have to wrap up now.
That was an awesome show, guys. Thank you for being with us. And this is part of Where's My Sage? And really, we are sampling this universe. Our next show will be Greystone Manor. We're gonna be doing it remotely. New York State.
Figure something out with Heather.
It has crazy things.
I love when John always doing that stuff.
Yeah. So
awesome. Yeah.
Sample on. Please share the show. The more numbers make it a little easier for folks to find us. We'll be doing more things. When we get our numbers up a little bit. He's been hiding in the background. I didn't even know he was out there tonight.
Keith? Wow.
So the problem with using the service that we use, we go to so many different sites because not everybody likes Facebook or YouTube or whatever. It's a little hard to see who's there. So I do like to try to call you out. So if you're there, we'd like to know you're there. Happy birthday again to Kristie.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for all the birthday love yesterday. It was nice. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you got anything else before I just kept running my mouth there? So.
Oh, I'm used to it. I just kind of let you until I feel like cutting you off. No, I'm good. I think we had a great show and I really enjoyed having all of you and talking with Melanie. She's always fun. So.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Keep your eyes open. We'll be figuring out the next one. It was supposed to be a live investigation. But we will definitely be connecting with Heather and Bob, and we will definitely figure something out, and we'll do it in some way. We'll definitely get it. So
we'll drive by in the cars with security cameras, and we'll just live feed with our phones. Hey, there's the house. We might see something.
You know what? Where they live in a gorgeous area. It's closer to me, and there's never disappointment. You could just go sit outside, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And the land itself has so much history and activity. Unfortunately, we probably won't be able to do that as of right now, but we'll get there eventually. I have no doubt. So, but for now, we'll figure that out. And keep your eyes peeled. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us get the numbers that we're looking for. And as always, we're gonna, us for impulsive. So we'll be back on probably sooner than later, anyways. So just keep your eyes open. And I know, Jason, it really is. So, but that's about it, I think, for tonight, huh?
Yes. Thank you all.
Yeah. So, continue to stay safe, practice social distancing, and sample on.
Sample on.